All right, let's bring in William Lawrence. He's a political science professor at the American University here in Washington, D.C. William, great to have you back. In its isolation, we saw Qatar join a pressure campaign against the Saudis for their involvement in the murder of Jamal Khashoggi. Do you think that their pursuit for Jamal and other Saudi dissidents will change given the fact that they're seeking to improve their relationship right now with Riyadh?
Well, it's been very interesting today because Jazeera's coverage on a number of issues shifted a little bit. But I think it was more that Jazeera hasn't really heard yet about what the changes that they'll need to make and what will be left alone. But what I suspect, having talked to a couple of Jazeera producers today, is that they will continue to report news, things like the Khashoggi killing, things like democracy movements, human rights violations, to a great degree, and keep that sort of editorial integrity going. But they may be nicer in terms of commentary, in terms of putting Saudi guests on, a little bit how Jazeera deals with Iran right now, where they'll put on Iranian guests or Egyptian guests while Egypt is holding a Jazeera reporter, just to have diversity of points of view and allow that point of view to be expressed. But as your other commentator said, Qatar is the big winner here because none of the 13 demands were met, and the Saudis are opening up land, sea, and air. So it's a big win.
Really interesting points you make there. Turkey obviously was a tremendous support for Qatar during the blockade when it had very few allies. Do you see that relationship changing in any way?
No. Certainly, a number of Gulf countries want to reduce Qatar's relationship with Iran and reduce Turkey's relationship with Qatar, including any Turkish troops on Qatari soil. But the blockade itself made the case that Qatar has to have the pluralistic foreign policy that your other commentator mentioned. I used to train Qatari diplomats for several years up at a university in Boston, and we used to teach them, you really have to get along with all of your neighbors, and they took it to heart. And I really expect the Qatari-Turkish bilateral relationship to remain robust, and the Qatari-Iranian relationship to remain practical and transactional the way it is now. But the one thing that the Saudis got out of this deal is that Iran will lose up to $100 million a year in overflight rights that Qatar will be no longer spending in Iran. And there'll be other improvements in the, let's say, coordination of Gulf countries vis-a-vis threats emanating from Iran.
I spoke with another guest about the Biden administration. Is it really the changing of the guard that has precipitated the deal we're seeing here, or is there another collective reason for improving Gulf relations going forward?
Well, there are many ingredients in this soup, but I think the most important ingredient is not Biden's arrival, but Trump's departure. And Trump is trying to gain wins. The Trump and Kushner families want to gain their own financial advantages vis-a-vis Gulf countries. They want to leave the Gulf in at least as good shape as they found it. The blockade happened on their watch, and President Trump encouraged it at the beginning. It never should have happened. And so they've found a way for Qatar to not emerge a loser, but a winner, but also for the Saudis to withdraw the blockade and save face. The wild card now is that apparently the rulers in the Emirates aren't as on board as maybe the Kuwaiti and American officials are saying, and Egypt's not on board yet either. So all of that remains to be seen over the next 3 weeks.
William Lawrence, great to have you with us, and a Happy New Year to you.